All right, we are live. It's Jeff Macke live. Spencer Israel with Jeff Macke. Mr. Macke, we got this morning what is basically my favorite kind of headline that exists on Wall Street in the realm of business. And that is a company that does one thing decides we don't want to do that anymore. We want to do something completely different.
Yeah.
And that's what happened today with Allbirds, a stock that I know you've mentioned in the past. It totally fell off my radar. Allbirds, the sustainable shoe company, right?
Yeah, they made kind of woven shoes, just incredibly uncomfortable shoes. They sent them out to everybody, which was a bad idea because it's really, I mean, it's hard to hurt your foot beyond what going barefoot would actually do, but these things managed. And so, believe it or not, the woven wool shoe companies that were eco-friendly didn't take off. They went from 4 billion to about $1.50. And then like 2 weeks ago, they said, you know what? We're selling all our IP. They weren't doing anything as far as I knew until this morning. So
right. So this morning,
that makes it even crazier.
This morning, they announced that they are now an AI company. They are
Why not?
They are in the business of AI compute infrastructure. They are in the process of raising money that they said they're going
50 million in convertible, man.
$50 million.
They're supposedly done, which it's turned into a market cap of over 100 million. Just because, again, why not?
So this was a stock, like you said. What's the all-time high was $648 per share. That was right around the IPO actually 5 years ago. And today, this morning, or we should say yesterday, Allbirds was a $2 stock.
Yeah.
As we are talking right now, what are we at?
We were at 25.
We're at 17.
Earlier.
We were at 20. We were at 24. Now we are at $17 per share. So from $2 to $17 in one day, because the shoe company said, screw shoes. Let's do AI. What a time to be alive.
It's a glorious time to be alive. And I tell you what's happening right now. People are pulling up their portfolios and just kind of trying to figure out what the hell. This is the kind of position that either you shorted it, declared victory emotionally, and forgot to cover because you just never wanted the taxable event of covering. That turns out to be a mistake beyond meat. Shareholders and shorts take note. Or it became such a small position in your portfolio, you forgot about it completely. And boom, baby, boom. You know, what you weren't thinking of in that case was that they actually could just become an AI GPU provider instead of a shoe company. It seems so obvious in retrospect.
Yeah. So the market cap as of the close yesterday was $20 million. That it was so small, and this company had totally fallen off my radar. Was way below any market cap filters that I have on my platforms and stuff. So I was never going to see this, and then bam.
And they were only on my radar because they still have some of the most expensive real estate and malls where they exist. We made fun of them like 6 months ago because they're right across from the Apple store at the famous UTC mall near where I am, which is just Broadway and Park Place if we're playing Monopoly. So, a crazy place for them to be. They did not do a great job running the shoes. Investors apparently convinced that they're going to be much better at whatever it is they're doing now. That's the lifetime holdings. Not a lot of winners in there. Not a lot of folks that got bullish on this company and won until today. And even after today's move, still 97% off the all-time high. So it's not a lot of resistance in that chart is one way of looking at it. There's not a ton of folks that were looking to are going to say, I'm just waiting for it to get back to 30 and I'm going to sell. Those people kind of had given up. The market's weird. It's not the first time we've seen a movie like this. But it's a rare and just kind of goofy happenstance. It's
Yeah,
evocative of some .com creations and of course Bitcoin most recently.
certainly, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I'm looking at some Allbirds data here. So as of yesterday, the stock still had about a 20% short interest. Who in their right mind is short a stock that's already down 99% or whatever it was, right? Yeah,
Got a little greedy, got a little didn't want the time. If you never realize that I was short Egghead software and they just kind of disappeared, which is awesome
yeah.
because it just sort of it's like poof, and you get to keep all the money and it's glorious. This is the bite in the ass thing. And depending on where your short basis is, it hasn't seen these levels in quite a while. But if you actually were smart enough to short it at $500, you're probably not sweating this move. It's just a little afterthought. If you bought the dip, this is Christmas. It's absolutely happy tax day. Go ahead, cash this in, wait for T+3 and send that check, folks, because Wall Street doesn't gift wrap a lot of stuff and just hand it to you. But if you were hanging on to this sucker because you thought the shoe business was coming back, congratulations. Godspeed and good work.
And also, I should mention, Allbirds was never actually at $600 per share. It had a 1-for-20 reverse split a couple years ago. So, reverse split's kind of a death spiral financing kind of sign of the end time type of thing. But there is somebody out there that has a cost basis in the 500s or more. And hey, you're that much closer today. So as you mentioned, this is not the first time this has happened. I love when this happens. Riot Blockchain is one of the poster children of this practice. They were a biotech company that said, we'd rather do blockchain instead, and let's mine some crypto. And
drugs are hard. Let's jump on the crypto chain, so to speak. And man, work for them for a little while. This is actually a pretty nice outcome for them. The fact that they're higher than when they just decided to go from being a scammy biotech company or biopharma to a blockchain company. So, prescient, I guess, in its way. Also calls to mind AMC, which was the movie reference before, which is still a failing business. And the CEO who went to Harvard Business School, which boy, it doesn't say great things. Those of you looking to shit on the Ivy League, welcome. But now they took an interest in popcorn farming. They did a bunch of crazy stock splits. They tried to take advantage of that move from 12 to 300 during that little kind of bubble stock mania. They made a movie about it. It was quite a big deal. That's back down to $1.65. It probably not going anywhere, no matter how many people go to see the Mario Brothers movie. But this is the way this movie usually ends, and it's Bird has just entered a whole different category now. If you like to day trade, if you like to whip them around, there are people who absolutely love that. I've always found it to be, I'm not great at it. I get kind of tied up in my brain. So, if you want to whip these things around, Godspeed. Good luck to you. You're probably going to be bored by anything you and I have to say because we tend to focus more on the fundamental aspect of things. But like you say, fun stuff.
As I said, this is my favorite thing that happens. Never forget Long Island iced tea. This was a beverage company in 2017. Right? Remember, there was that, maybe not the first, maybe it was the second or third great Bitcoin rally. It went from like Thanksgiving of 17 to like January of 18, I believe. And Long Island iced tea said,
"Wasn't this Celestial Teas? Long Island iced tea is an actual. It's a cocktail. We'll have our research cracks down.
No, Long Island iced tea." And then they said, "Okay, forget the iced tea. We are now and shall henceforth be known as the Long Blockchain Company." And never forget Long Island iced tea, Long Blockchain, Riot Pharma, Riot Blockchain. This is not an endorsement of this tactic. In fact, quite the opposite. But it's hilarious.
It ends in
and
tears. I mean, and there's a lot of immediately. I was kind of crapping on it with Sam Rowe this morning when back. I'm old enough to remember when Bird was just a $5 company on this change into GPUs, and so that was low these 4 hours ago. It's been an adventure since. The stock has quadrupled in the meantime. So who am I to make fun of people that are actually executing that trade? It's again, if you're there at 20, I would happily take that money and send it to the IRS.
wait, so Jeff, for the people like me that don't follow the company all that much, what was wrong with Allbirds?
They just weren't really good at making shoes. They kind of the whole idea was we were gonna handcraft these environmentally friendly shoes that would sort of disintegrate back into the earth from whence it came and leave no carbon footprint. They sent them out to folks. They were nice enough to send me a pair. I like the management. I like the people. Honestly, the least comfortable shoes that you can possibly imagine, like the wooden shoes that you see little Dutch boys wear in old pictures are almost certainly more comfortable than these shoes were. It's last year they came out with again a woven running shoe. I don't know about you, but I get a little schwitzy when I run, and the idea of having something made out of yarn that I was going to use as a running shoe, I didn't make a ton of sense. I'm not a podiatrist, so maybe there's an argument for it. But expensive real estate, going to be a high-end brand. They became hot in Silicon Valley for a while, which is how they got out there with the IPO, but not a tremendous growth story. The shoe business is hard.
Were they better or worse than those Nike like sock shoes? The things that were like socks, but they were like hard.
Yeah, right? They were probably worse than those, better than the shoes with toes. Remember the running shoes that had toes?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm referring to. Yeah.
The little toe shoes.
Yeah.
And somewhere between those and the Reebok pumps. Remember, you used to pump up your shoe, and they had all those ads like holy crap, I'm going in the game.
That's right.
Blow them up my. Okay.
That's right.
I'm perfect. It's about a tie. There's somewhere in the mix with the little footies. But it was an idea whose time will never come.
All right, so rest in peace to Allbird, the shoe company. Good morning, Allbird, the AI GPU company.
I think if they would have gone Freebird, it would be a $75 stock right now. Everyone loves Freebird. It's always a crowd pleaser. I think they missed a real opportunity there. Or
that is true.
Is that the next level? Is that the next big innovation that's going to bring these guys up to the triple digits where it's clearly destined to go?
Maybe. Well, for a trade, hey, look, it's anyone's ball game right now. So,
it's going to trade on flow. It's going to trade on elephant. Yeah. It's going to trade on stuff that you and I don't have any real edge on. I like to at least be able to convince myself I have an edge. I didn't, they didn't send me the press release. They sent me free shoes, which again, not super comfortable, but and probably biodegraded completely. I think I threw them out and they probably disappeared into nature and are in our drinking water right now.
Jeff, I think perhaps you need to do a scan. You need to find other retail stocks down 99%. You need to alert us to who that, or maybe just your members to who is on that list. Maybe we get another one, because to me, this is just a sign of animal spirits. This is not bear market behavior. This is bull market behavior, right?
It is, and it's latter part of the bull market. It's the beginning of the exciting conclusion. We've had a nice run, and so boy, if you miss Netflix at 75, here's your chance to buy AI Bird whatever the hell they are now, and you can catch up really fast to the gains that you might have missed. But you're getting a little catch up right now. Not a lot of people caught the bottom a couple of weeks ago. It's the stocks front ran whatever good news is out there, and we need some good news because we've had a nice little rally. Stocks at all-time highs. Who would have thunk it?
All right, so let's just, before we go, let's just take the temperature of retail of your neck of the woods here at the moment. Things didn't look great when gas prices went parabolic. This chart kind of shows that, but wouldn't you know it, purple line stops going up and the orange line stops going down. Coincidence? I don't know.
Not even sort of. Not even sort of. We said before, and the data so far anyway is actually pretty benign, and we didn't need much. I mean, they kicked the living snot out of these stocks, and so you're getting a little bit of a relief rally here. Remember the tariff stocks? People love to say, "Oh, it was a taco event," and they backed off, and that's why we had the big rally. There are a lot of real pain in the ass tariffs that actually genuinely impacted a bunch of companies' earnings last year. It was a real thing, a real problem. It's not that they disappeared, it's just that it got priced in. We had a lot of bad news priced in, a lot of worst case scenarios. As we talked about, the question to ask for the last 2 weeks has been, what if things go right? And by go right, I mean stop going just so much
Stop
worse
getting
than you
worse.
can, just
Yeah.
stop getting worse. And that in this case means about $100 a barrel. It's you can price it in. And so now you have one of those benign type of tapes where if you are these consumer facing companies, you've got a pretty nice reason built into your price to say, you know what, yeah, we did see a little drop in the buying, even though the data doesn't support it yet. But expectations have been tempered, and maybe things aren't as bad as all that. And at that point, it's just Katie bar the door. All of a sudden, everyone wants to be long Amazon, Netflix. They want to be long. You're seeing a rally. Tesla is up 8% today. That story hasn't particularly changed over the last 24 hours. It's just you had a lot of fund managers who kind of got their faces kicked in Q1 and are getting a little schwitzy already in 2 weeks into Q2.
You know what's funny? Since you brought up Tesla, I was just thinking about that the other day. It's been super quiet. Tesla has, right? And also just the volume of noise around that stock. It's like it is like the ultimate meme stock. And I just have heard nothing about Tesla for months, right? For months. Granted, it hasn't done anything, so perhaps that's why. But typically there's like that is like the most trendy stock in the market. At least it was for a few years there. And I just
Just
have
a
heard
nice
nothing.
battleground. No one even wants to argue about it anymore. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
I think eventually they need to come up with something autonomous. Uber with big news today didn't make a chart for them, but I'm actually kind of excited that they're going to dedicate 10 billion to making their own fleet of cars. They're the best ones in terms of providing that service in the middle where they can kind of be the distribution center of all things riding, but they're better off with their own cars, at least as part of that mix. I think it's bullish for Uber. I think that stock has been unfairly beaten down. What they needed there was a growth story, but Tesla had for so long when, who knows what they're going to do to manipulate it next. But they keep talking about just, oh, we're going to autonomous taxis. A lot of folks that I know in the industry think they don't necessarily have the best mousetrap for that, and EVs aren't piping hot. But the 8% move today, I don't know. I would have thought that while gas prices were going up a quarter every 5 minutes, that would have been a time for people to get long EVs if we were going to see that type of demand pick up. Demand doesn't seem to be picking up, but whatever. People are long. They want to own. All of a sudden, you got to own stocks, and man, it's been a nice couple days.
Uber arguably invented the gig economy. It would be ironic if they ended up killing said gig economy with autonomous cars. But hey,
Now
man,
you see that's a glass
that's
half full
capitalism,
type of
baby.
observation there, Spencer. That's you're being Mr. Negative Pants. Now come on, it's as an Uber investor, I like to think of it as the glass being half full. They're helping make it more efficient. They're pushing people along in their careers. If you're a member of the gig economy, it's time to kind of hedge your bets a little bit. But the robots are coming for your jobs. We've known that for a while. That got priced in kind of starting in January, and maybe we pulled back. It got priced in kind of aggressively in a lot of different spaces. So we'll see. Right now it's taking a breather. Maybe it's just spring. Maybe it's too hot in New York for anyone want to sell. I don't know. It's when the animal spirits brew. It's best just to kind of observe it and respect it and get the hell out of the way.
All right, we'll get out of here. Find out the stocks that are in Jeff's portfolio, the stocks he actually owns, what he's buying, what he's selling. Use the link on the screen or the link in the description below on YouTube. And Jeff,
I don't want to give anything away, but I'm not whipping Bird around. I have no position in Bird to disclose to you. I know.
Not yet. Not yet. You don't.
Not yet. But if I do, the first place to find out is the subscribers will know before anyone.
That's right. They'll know first. They'll
Could
know
happen. It
first.
could happen at any moment. I don't know. We'll see. My opinions can be fickle.
Call options? Who can say? Maybe Jeff
Maybe.
can say. All right.
Do they have call options in that stock anymore? Again, the
They
company was gone. They sold out. It was kind of just a bookkeeping sort of.
That's
We
right.
already sold and we have no operations. Congrats on raising money in that situation. Congrats on convincing anyone to come up with a convertible so you can go to a whole different industry. Godspeed. You know, it's investment banking's moment of the hour.
But what they did was, well, that's true. But what they did was they broke the announcement up into two different things. They said we are liquidating and we're selling our IP. And then later they said, by the way, we do AI now. If they had done that all at once, it wouldn't have had the same effect. They split it up. That was very smart, right?
Yeah, by a couple of weeks. Maybe they felt
Yeah.
bad. Maybe they just saw everyone leaving the office, and it's like, man, you know, they just felt a little mopey, and they said, why don't we? You know what we should do is start an AI company.
Yeah,
and we're off to the races. You know,
all right.
congrats to them.
Jeff has a new video every week, actually 2 new videos every week for his members. One about the portfolio, one about a new options trade. The options video is going to drop later today. The members will get it. If you're not a member, you will not get it. Plain and simple. So get in the portfolio, see what he's buying, see what he's selling, see what he's trading. And Jeff, we will talk to you next week. I believe we have a special guest.
We've got a special guest. My friend Guy
Surprise
Don
guest.
is going to come on, and we're gonna shoot around. So it won't be that much of a surprise, but it will be to some.
It's going to be fun. Thanks for watching, Jeff.
Fun.
Have fun not buying Allbirds shoes, because you know what, they're going to be collector's items. What they are, they're going to end up on eBay. All of them.
I think they are biodegradable. I think mine have already degraded to nothing. I'm not sure.
Rats.
I know they're not sweat resistant. It's a
All
sad
right.
deal.
Sad.
Talk to you later, folks. Have a good day.
Yeah.